that a psychologist by the name of Thomas Gilovich came up with. And Thomas Gilovich is a psychologist, and he did some pretty cool research where he looked at what happens to your satisfaction level if you invest in a physical good or if you invest in an experience. And so what he found is that if you invest in a physical good, over time, your satisfaction will start to go down. But if you invest in an experience, over time, your satisfaction starts to go up. And so what a lot of the world's leading organizations have figured out is how do we create this kind of an environment where when employees show up to work, it feels like they have just invested in an experience and not in a transaction. So how do we create this kind of an environment where employees feel like they just bought into an experience and not so much like they just bought into a transaction? This is what a lot of the world's leading organizations are starting to figure out and wrap their minds around. Now, I'm sure a lot of you are probably wondering, what's the ROI of doing this? Why bother doing any of this stuff? Does it actually translate into something? And the answer is yes. So I looked at 252 organizations around the world. And when I looked at these 252 organizations around the world, I categorized them into the following categories here. And by the way, these organizations include all the Fortune 100, all the Fortune 100 best places to work, Glassdoor's top 50 large organizations to work for, 252 of them. And what I found is that half of organizations are either doing nothing or they're doing a minimal amount.
Do you want to hear something really crazy? 96% of the people who watch videos on this channel are not subscribed. Help me change that number around by subscribing so that you can get access to more videos just like this one. And now, let's get back to the content.
Around 30% of organizations, a little less than 30%, they're in the kind of meh, yeah, they're doing okay, nothing too great. Only 6% of all the organizations that I looked at from 252 are doing an amazing job of investing in employee experience. So what is employee experience? How do we define it? It's changing the core workplace practices inside of your organization around your people. Changing the core workplace practices inside of your organization around your people. And the organizations who do that see the ROI. And by the way, the 6%, these are organizations like a Microsoft, like an Accenture, some of the typical ones you would expect to see, a Facebook, a Google, Riot Games was in there. So there are not many organizations that have truly figured this out, but 23% of organizations are very good. They're doing a very good job, but not amazing. So I mentioned ROI. What's the value of doing all of this stuff? So I looked at a couple layers of ROI. The first thing that I looked at was I compared the experiential organizations, the one that scored highest on my index, and I looked at how often do these organizations appear on other best of lists. Customer Satisfaction Hall of Fame, most valuable brands, most innovative brands. How often do these experiential organizations appear on those lists? And we can see across the board, depending on what you look at, 2 times as often, 4 times as often, 10 times as often, 40 times as often. And the 40 times as often, that's for exponential organizations, which is based on a book that came out a couple years ago. So clearly there's something going on here. Next, I actually looked at dollars and cents. So what does this mean in terms of productivity, in terms of revenue, in terms of, can we get the next slide with the ROI on it? There we go. So if you look at this one, you can see that employees or organizations that invest in employee experience, higher revenue per employee, higher profit per employee. These organizations are on average 24% smaller and have 40% lower turnover. So clearly there is something going on here. And this also dramatically impacts customer experience. Right? Think about it for a minute. Anytime you transact with a bank, anytime you fly on an airline, anytime you go into a supermarket, the process is always the same. Right? Anytime you go to a gym, it's not like you fly one airline and they do something that's totally different than another airline. It's not like one bank does something that's totally different than another bank. It's usually the same. So if that's the case, then how is it that some of these organizations go above and beyond to create amazing employee experiences? So when I interviewed some of these organizations, and I said, why do you invest in any of this stuff? They said, because it unlocks the discretionary effort of our people to go above and beyond to create amazing customer experiences. So if you want amazing customer experiences, you start by creating great employee experiences. And then the employees go above and beyond for your customers. I also looked at stock price performance. So over 4 or 5 years, I looked at the NASDAQ, the S&P 500, I looked at Glassdoor's organizations, the best places to work. And across the board, we see experiential organizations outperformed every other category of organization that's out there. So clearly, there is something going on here when we think about actual ROI, right? Dollars and cents these organizations are actually experiencing.